Anime is insanely popular in America. What's an American thing that's as popular in Japan? Baseball. American companies put random Japanese kanji on their clothing. Japan actually puts random English words on their clothing. I have a ball cap that says kill in storage that I won in a claw machine in Hachinohe, Japan. KFC is a very successful chain there, and is even eaten as a Christmas tradition. Jazz. Peanut butter. For some reason our entire Japanese sales team stocks up on it in the States before they fly home. There is a die-hard fan base for King of the Hill, who also argue about dubs versus subs. Japan took our 7-Elevens and made them 100 better. Most of the basics have been covered, but I'll add Snoopy, American slang, and, to a lesser degree, Baskin-Robbins. I'd also add Winnie the Pooh and Harry Potter, but those are technically British. Saw some Japanese, grew up there. KFC, Levi's jeans, American Eagle. I have Japanese friends who come to US to visit and stock up on Levi's and day clothes because it is so expensive in Asia. Disney movies. American bourbon. The Japanese practically saved the industry during the 80s and 90s. 50s style greasers. Disney is huge over there. Believe it or not, King of the Hill. South Park. So much that other anime reference it. Hell, even Power from Chainsaw Man was inspired by Eric Cartman. Also a bit niche, Japan also has a small following for Chicano culture, complete with lowriders and Japanese folk emulating Chicano fashion: bald head, wife beaters, tattoos, mammies. For some reason jeans, and cowboy hats. Beef jerky. When I was going there years ago they told me that it was considered a delicacy and to take it to give as gifts. Fucking Pizza Hut. I saw so many goddamn Pizza Huts there. Makuta Naruto. I remember watching a small documentary about Japanese people wearing cholo-style clothing and driving lowriders. As a Chicano, that was super interesting. K-Viva. Cowboys. There are reverse weebs, Japanese people obsessed with cowboys. Baseball and KFC. Pro wrestling, although I suppose it's not strictly an American thing anymore. I found out recently that Columbo is very big there. Columbo had novelizations of episodes and, I believe, original stories, published there. Columbo-inspired characters have appeared in anime and manga. Lupin 3 had Bolonko in an episode. There was a Japanese Columbo show called Furuhata Ninzabura. Baseball. American kids' cartoons like SpongeBob are popular. I remember going to Gusto and getting a gotcha toy with Paw Patrol stickers in it. Japanese people seem to love American music. Baseball. Biggest spectator sport in Japan. It was brought over by an American English professor in the late 1800s. Apparently King of the Hill. I can't confirm, but from what I've been told there's a huge fan base. I bring it up because it's too funny to ignore. Texas anime lol. Mexican-American lowrider culture, to the point where they adapt the clothing, hairstyle, tattoos. Rock music. I've heard tons of awesome Japanese rock and metal bands. Rock on Gesture. 7-Eleven. Americana-style clothing. The Japanese applied their artisan nature to make higher quality American clothing than Americans. Reusable bags like the ones from Whole Foods and Trader Joe's, especially from these two stores. I remember that a family member bought a lot of the TJ reusable bags and gave them to their Japanese co-workers because it was so popular and it was requested as well. Lowriders. Seriously, some of the best ones are in Japan. Hamburger. Kit Kat. Tower Records and 7-Eleven. Michael Jackson. Since Disney was already mentioned, I'm gonna go with Universal Studios. They get more attendance at the Japan park than either of their US parks. Edit: I take it back. Looks like both the Orlando Parks finally beat them in annual attendance. Music. Typically heavier genres like metal and rock. Loads of great bands come from America and the Japanese go nuts for them. Of course Japan has bands of their own like Baby Metal, Deer and Grey, L'Arc-en-Ciel, etc. Bourbon. In the 80s, bourbon was struggling to stay afloat in the domestic market. The Japanese kept most of the big US distilleries in business with their insatiable appetite for the stuff. Have you been to Japan? Everything American is popular there. Generally they just take it and make it 10x better. KFC for Christmas. Halloween. Anne of Green Gables. She has garnered icon status in Japan to the point of her novel being part of the school curriculum across the country. Japan made a show, an anime adaptation, and they made their own replica of the Green Gables farm in a theme park styled after Canada. And speaking of the farm, fans often travel to the farm in Cavendish, Prince Edward Island. And couples often get married there. Texas. Vintage Harley-Davidsons. KFC is so popular in Japan that for Christmas, you have the pre-order months in advance. It is considered a very good treat if you're invited by someone for Christmas KFC. English. Yes, I know English isn't an American thing, but hear me out. The amount of English loanwords used in Japanese is staggering. What is camera in Japanese? Camera. Salaryman? Sarariman. Hotel? Hotsaru. Beer? Beru. Any clothing with English words on it. Sometimes the words will be misspelled, nonsense, or just plain random. Americans do it too with kanji. My wife knows some kanji and saw someone who had the kanji for sheep tattooed on them. Jazz. When I went there for business I found that Dr. Bronner's magic soaps are very popular and I was told it is their #1 selling soap. But I have no idea if that's true. Shockingly enough, bourbon outside of the US, Japan has historically been the largest importing and consuming market of bourbon. So much so that major brands like Four Roses were, at one time, made exclusively for Japan until being brought back here towards the beginning of the bourbon boom. The 70s band Cheap Trick. There's a fan base for Chicano Cholo culture. It's pretty awesome.